Ever wondered why you sometimes feel empty, even when everything seems to be going right? This gnawing sense of emptiness might be a sign of something many of us are not even aware of: emotional neglect. So, what exactly is emotional neglect? It's a form of neglect that's often invisible, making it quite different from the other types we're more familiar with, like physical or material neglect. While physical neglect is the absence of basic needs like food, shelter, or safety, emotional neglect is the absence of emotional support, validation, and care. It's a lack of emotional nutrition that leaves us feeling hollow. Here's a crucial point to understand. Emotional neglect can occur even when physical care and material abundance are present. You might be living in a comfortable home, surrounded by luxuries, and still be emotionally neglected. Why? Because emotional neglect isn't about what you have, but rather what you're missing. Now let's delve into its potential sources. Emotional neglect can come from various places, including parents, partners, friends, or even oneself. Imagine growing up with parents who provided for all your physical needs but never asked about your feelings or acknowledged your emotional struggles. Or perhaps you have a partner who showers you with gifts but disregards your emotional needs. It might even be you, neglecting your own emotions, dismissing your feelings as unimportant. Emotional neglect can be subtle and pervasive, often going unnoticed for years, even decades. It's like a silent echo in an empty room, a void that's hard to define. But just because it's hard to see doesn't mean it's any less damaging. Emotional neglect can leave deep scars, affecting our relationships, our self-worth, our ability to connect with others, and even our understanding of ourselves. It's a silent epidemic that's often misunderstood and overlooked, but the first step to healing is understanding. Now that we've defined emotional neglect, how do you identify if you're experiencing it? Stay tuned as we delve into the signs of emotional neglect in our next segment. Identifying emotional neglect can be challenging, but recognizing its signs is the first step to overcoming it. One of the most common signs of emotional neglect is a pervasive feeling of unfulfillment. This often comes across as a deep-seated sense that something is missing in your life, even if, on the surface, everything seems to be in order. You might have a great job, a loving family, and a comfortable home, yet still feel an inexplicable emptiness inside. Another telling sign of emotional neglect is the struggle to form close relationships. If you find yourself constantly feeling distant from others, even those you care about, it might be a signal of emotional neglect. This doesn't mean you're not capable of forming deep connections. Instead, it often indicates that you've grown accustomed to suppressing your emotional needs, making it difficult to fully open up to others. Then there's the experience of guilt, shame, or self-blame. Those who have been emotionally neglected often carry an unwarranted sense of guilt, feeling as if they are somehow at fault for their own neglect. They might blame themselves for not being enough in some way, whether it's smart enough, attractive enough, or simply good enough. This self-blame can be a heavy burden, and it's an unfortunate reminder of the damaging effects of emotional neglect. Emotional neglect can also lead to difficulty in identifying and expressing emotions. If you often find yourself unsure about how you're feeling, or you struggle to articulate your emotions to others, it could be a sign that your emotional needs have been neglected. Recognizing these signs is a vital first step in the journey to overcome emotional neglect. But remember, these signs are not definitive proof of emotional neglect, nor do they define you as a person. They are merely indicators pointing towards areas of your emotional health that may need attention. So how do we move forward? How do we take these signs and transform them into a plan of action? Self-awareness is key. Acknowledging these signs without judgment or self-blame is the first stride towards healing. Recognizing these signs is crucial, but how do we move from understanding to action? Overcoming emotional neglect demands courage, but armed with understanding, you can initiate the healing process. It's important to remember that the journey is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's not about reaching a destination overnight, but about embarking on a journey of self-discovery and healing. One of the first steps you can take is to seek professional help. Therapists and counselors are trained to help you navigate this challenging terrain. They can provide you with practical strategies and coping mechanisms tailored to your unique circumstances and experiences. They can help you understand your feelings, validate your experiences, and guide you towards a healthier emotional state. Practicing self-care is another crucial strategy. This means taking time to nurture your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It could be as simple as ensuring you get enough sleep, eat a balanced diet, or engage in physical activity. But it should also involve activities that nourish your soul and make you feel good about yourself. This could be anything from reading a book, to pursuing a hobby, to simply spending time in nature. Setting boundaries is another integral part of overcoming emotional neglect. This involves learning to say no when something doesn't feel right, and yes when it does. It's about understanding your limits and ensuring that others respect them. It's about standing up for yourself and your needs, even when it feels uncomfortable. Cultivating self-compassion is also essential. This means treating yourself with kindness and understanding, rather than harsh self-criticism. It's about recognizing that everyone has flaws and makes mistakes, and that's okay. It's about giving yourself the same compassion that you would give to a friend. Remember, overcoming emotional neglect is a process. It takes time, patience, and persistence. But with the right strategies and support, you can navigate this journey with confidence and resilience. Overcoming emotional neglect is a journey, but what does the path look like in practice? Implementing strategies to overcome emotional neglect involves deliberate, consistent action. The journey of overcoming emotional neglect begins with acknowledging its existence and understanding its impact. Moving forward, it's about taking practical, consistent steps toward healing. Let's delve into these steps. Firstly, seeking professional help can be a game changer. Therapists and counselors trained in the field of emotional neglect can provide valuable insights, guide you through your healing journey, and equip you with tools to manage your emotions better. Remember, reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a testament to your strength and resilience. Next, let's talk about self-care. This is not just about bubble baths and spa days, but about nurturing your emotional well-being. This could mean taking time out to engage in activities that bring you joy, peace, and relaxation. It could be as simple as taking a walk in the park, reading a good book, or practicing mindfulness. Setting boundaries is another crucial step. This means learning to say no when you need to, and deciding what is and isn't acceptable behavior from others. It's about asserting your needs and standing up for your emotional well-being. Finally, cultivating self-compassion is essential. Understand that it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. What's important is to be gentle with yourself, to recognize your feelings without judgment, and to remind yourself that it's okay to seek comfort and support. Implementing these strategies involves patience and persistence. There might be days when progress seems slow or even non-existent. But remember, healing is not a linear process. Each small step you take is a victory in itself. With these practical steps, you're equipped to navigate the journey of overcoming emotional neglect. Remember, you are not alone in this journey, and with every step you take, you're moving closer to emotional well-being. Overcoming emotional neglect is a challenge, but you're not alone on this journey. We've embarked on quite an exploration today, delving into the complex issue of emotional neglect. It's a subject that often goes unnoticed, hidden beneath the surface of our daily lives. Yet, its impact on our emotional well-being can be profound. We began by unpacking what emotional neglect truly is. It's not about what happened, but rather what didn't happen. It's the absence of emotional support, validation, and attention. It's a void that can leave us feeling unseen, unheard, and undervalued. Next, we discussed the signs of emotional neglect. These can be subtle, like a persistent feeling of loneliness or a struggle to identify and express emotions. Others might be more visible, such as difficulty forming close relationships or a harsh self-critic that never seems to quiet down. We then ventured into the realm of overcoming emotional neglect. It's a journey that requires courage and self-awareness. By acknowledging the neglect, we can start to understand its effects and begin the process of healing. Finally, we explored practical strategies to overcome emotional neglect. These included learning to identify and express emotions, developing self-compassion, and seeking supportive relationships. It's about building a toolbox of skills and strategies that can help us navigate the impact of emotional neglect and foster emotional well-being. As we conclude this exploration, remember that understanding and overcoming emotional neglect is not a sprint, but a marathon. It requires patience, persistence, and a whole lot of self-love. It requires us to be gentle with ourselves as we navigate this journey. Perhaps most importantly, remember that you're not alone. There are resources available, communities to join, and professionals ready to lend a helping hand. Overcoming emotional neglect is a challenge, but it's a challenge you don't have to face alone. Remember, each step you take on this journey is a testament to your resilience and strength. You're more powerful than you think,